What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, November 3rd, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to give you an update on the situation in the Middle East. So, this morning, the leader of Hezbollah gave his speech. So I want to read to you some of the most important things he said. But basically, to summarize his speech, he said that Hezbollah already declared war on Israel on October 8th. So they've already been at war with Israel since October 8th. And to me, it sounds like this was just like a final warning to Israel and the United States, basically saying that if the US and Israel continue to push into Gaza, then Hezbollah is going to step up their attacks on Israel. Okay. So a lot of people were saying that his speech was weak and he showed weakness, but I didn't get that at all. He said a lot of strong words here that were very concerning. So, before I read to you the most important things he said, I just want to show you what we have going on over the US. So, we have a B 52 nuclear bomber flying over Idaho right now, and we also have a combat Sentinel plane flying from Maine to Offutt Air Base, it looks like. And we only have two of these combat Sentinel planes. So my guess is this one probably came from overseas and it landed in Maine and it probably got refueled in Maine and now it's going back to Offutt, which is their home base for these combat Sentinels. But the B 52 is definitely interesting. It was flying over southeastern Montana, over one of the Indian reservations here. So Nasrallah said that there's no war holier than this war with Israel by all aspects. He also said all scenarios are open on the Lebanese southern front. All options are laid out, and we can adopt any option at any point of time. We must be available and ready for all of these scenarios and options to come. Okay, so he basically said that all options are on the table and they can adopt any option at any time. All right, and that could mean all out, war with Israel with massive missile launches and stuff like that. So anything is possible, is basically what he was saying. He said all out war in northern Israel with Hezbollah is possible. He said the possibility of the Lebanese front sliding into a wide battle is a realistic possibility, and Hezbollah should be prepared for it. He said what is happening on the Lebanon border is very important and effective, but it will not be limited to this. We are not satisfied with the attacks we have carried out so far. So he's basically saying right there that it's not limited to what they've been doing so far. They're going to expand the attacks because they're not satisfied with them so far. He said Israel has already factored this into their calculations and it's forcing Israel to put their forces in the northern part of Israel. He said that the daily operations of Hezbollah cause Israel to remain fearful and in panic. He warned the U.S. about any preemptive action against Lebanon and Hezbollah. He said it would be the biggest mistake of the U.S.'s existence. And he said that America is responsible for this war in Gaza. He said that Israel is just a proxy of the U.S. And he said that about the war declaration on Israel, that war was already declared on October 8th, which was a day after Hamas attacked Israel. And he said to the United States, your threats on the resistance movement are pointless. We received a message that if you continue operations, we will bombard Lebanon and Iran. Your threats are pointless. They will not cause us to fear. To you, I openly and candidly say that your fleet you are using as a threat, we have prepared for them. You, the American, remember your defeat in Lebanon, Iraq, Afghanistan, and your humiliating withdrawal from Afghanistan. Those who defeated you in Lebanon in the early 80s are still alive, backed and supported by their children and grandchildren. If the US and West are calling for steering away from escalation, this cannot be achieved by threats against honest, noble resistance fighters. The only way is to end the war in Gaza. So, some strong words there threatening the US Navy fleets in the Eastern Mediterranean, the carrier strike groups. And he brings up the war in Lebanon in the early 80s. And he also confirmed that the U.S. threatened Iran and Lebanon. So, very, very interesting. And he also said, we are not winning by knockout, but by points. Fortitude, patience, bravery. This is what we have, and this is our strength. This is what the enemy lacks and what the enemy wants. We must work for the victory of Gaza and the victory of the resistance. The Israeli regime will not be able to change the effects of this operation. If we want a war with full legitimacy, there is no legitimate war like the war with Israel. The Al-Aqsa flood operation has strategic and existential consequences and will have an impact on Israel's present and future. The events of October 7 created a security, military, political, and psychological earthquake at the level of Israel's existence. The Al-Aqsa flood operation is 100% a Palestinian decision and 100% a Palestinian execution. And he said also, we will talk again in a few days on the Martyrs' Day. So, very strong words there from the leader of Hezbollah. Okay, so looks like things are going to continue to escalate, guys. Okay, so get prepared. You know, he threatened the U.S. Navy, saying that they're prepared to deal with the U.S. Navy. He basically said that all options are on the table and they can adopt them at any point in time. So this is very serious, guys. Okay, there's a lot of people saying that his speech was weak, but I didn't get that at all. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had some strong words of his own for Nasrallah. And he said today, shortly after the speech, he said, I say to our enemy in the north, do not misunderstand us. One mistake will cost you more than you could ever imagine. Wow, guys, strong words there from Netanyahu. He also said that he made it clear to Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State of the U.S., that Israel opposes any ceasefire that does not include the release of hostages. He also told Blinken that Israel will not allow fuel into Gaza and opposes the transfer of funds to Hamas. Okay, so very, very strong words there from Netanyahu. No fuel for Gaza, no transfer of funds to Hamas. And according to a Kuwaiti newspaper called Al Jarada, the U.S. warned Iran that if Hezbollah intervenes, it would mean the same thing as Iran declaring war on the United States. I mean, that is just huge news, guys, okay? And we do know that the House of Representatives passed a resolution 2 days ago basically declaring war on Iran, and it passed almost unanimously. 350 supported it, and only 53 voted against it. Okay, so a huge backing in the House, and the resolution stated that the U.S. and its allies, including Israel, would take any action necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, and that the U.S. will not tolerate a nuclear armed Iran. So that's very, very serious. And Syrian sources are reporting that thousands of Iranian backed militia members have arrived in southern Lebanon over the last week, and that tens of thousands are still staging inside of Syria near the border with Lebanon and the Golan Heights. All right, so Iranian backed militias are piling up on the Israeli border inside of Syria. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Israel today. He met with Benjamin Netanyahu. He's also going to attend a meeting with the Israeli War Cabinet. And then he's going to also meet with the Israeli president and hold a press conference. And then he's going to go to Jordan And Sunday, he's supposed to be going to Turkey, I believe. So, very interesting. And Hamas is apparently calling for mass mobilization outside of Gaza to support them. They're calling for massive public protests in Palestine and Islamic countries and throughout all the countries in the world. And sources in Syria said that 60 trucks loaded with military and logistical support equipment arrived at a US led international coalition base in Tal Baidar in the countryside of Al Hasaka. The trucks entered from Al Walid border crossing with the Kurdistan region of Iraq yesterday. So, some kind of logistical trucks arriving at a US base in Syria. Israeli army spokesman Daniel Hagari warned Iran and said Israel is ready to respond to any threat. He said Iran continues its destructive and negative activities. Tehran is trying to distract us from the war in Gaza, but we remain focused on overthrowing Hamas. We know how to react in any arena and how to respond to any threat when necessary. So, strong words there from the Israeli army spokesman. And thousands of people in Jordan were protesting outside the Israeli embassy in the Jordanian capital, and they demanded the cancellation of all agreements with Israel. And a U.S. intelligence analyst said that U.S. bases in Iraq could be attacked by cruise missiles and large caliber rockets soon. And Bloomberg is reporting that Israel has stopped informing Russia about its attacks in Syria. So that's pretty serious, guys. And the U.S. has intelligence that Syrian President Bashar al Assad had agreed to provide Hezbollah with the Pantsir missile defense system, the supply of which was carried out by the Wagner Group. And the National Security Council of Israel has issued a worldwide travel warning for Israelis, basically saying don't travel anywhere now. And North Korea said that it's going to increase its military deterrent to ensure its security against the U.S. nuclear arsenal aimed at it, its state media reported on Friday as it criticized the U.S. for a recent ICBM test. So I want to just share some other information. This is what Nasrallah looks like if you've never seen him before. And here we have those Russian transport planes that were flying down into the Middle East last night. It looks like they landed in Cairo, Egypt. And these are the Russian Ministry for Emergency Situations planes. They usually only deploy somewhere when there's like some kind of a conflict or major situation. I don't know why they would go to Cairo. I don't know if they're going to be evacuating Russian diplomats, possibly. Very interesting that they would go to Cairo. And we do know that Egypt has placed tanks and artillery on the border with Israel. And they said repeatedly that they would not allow Palestinians to be relocated into Egypt from Gaza. And here we have some activity over the Eastern Mediterranean today. We had an aerial refueler flying over Iraq and also a British Typhoon fighter jet that appeared to have been flying over Iraq as well, potentially carrying out strikes on some of the militants in Iraq, those Iranian backed militants. We also have some reconnaissance planes here and a C 130. So lots of activity around Cyprus. And we also have a concerning situation that occurred last night, possibly a jihadist attack or some kind of sleeper cell attack. There was a nuclear power plant in South Carolina where some guy drove his car through the gate at the nuclear plant. So let me read to you some information about that. The Oconee County Sheriff's Office is investigating a Thursday night incident at the Oconee Nuclear Station. According to the Sheriff's Office, at around 8:06 p.m., deputies were called to the nuclear station after an unknown white man reportedly drove a 2002 Toyota Camry through the exit side gate on the Highway 183 side of the station. After hitting pop-up barricades, which were activated by security at the nuclear station, the man backed up and drove down a dirt road where Duke Energy security reportedly tried to block the car in. The driver allegedly attempted to drive into security officers before going through a fence and then driving out of the exit of the plant, nearly hitting a security truck with a guard in it. After getting back onto Highway 183, the sheriff's office said the driver went into Pickens County and pulled onto a property on Jones Mill Road where shots were fired. It is not known where exactly the shots came from. Deputies are still searching for a silver 2002 Camry with an Arkansas tag of 380 DVR. All right, so 2002 Camry, Arkansas plates, silver, 380 DVR is the plate number. So they didn't catch this guy. All right, they didn't catch this guy. He drove into a nuclear power plant and then drove out through a fence, and they didn't catch him. All right, so this is very concerning, guys. And there's a lot of nuclear power plants in South Carolina, and that's one of the reasons why I don't recommend people move to South Carolina if they're thinking about preparedness, because there are a lot of nuclear power plants there. For whatever reason, there's like 6 of them, okay, or something around there. But this is very, very concerning, guys, okay, very concerning. And it could be some kind of a sleeper cell attack. And here we have more Russian military cargo planes flying from Kaliningrad. So the last couple of days, Russia has been flying military cargo planes to and from Kaliningrad. It looks like they're continuing to do this, which is very, very concerning. It means they're bringing in supplies or maybe troops into Kaliningrad and possibly preparing for some kind of military operation in the Baltics or against Poland. And we also had an Estonian border plane flying. And there was also an Estonian border patrol plane flying along the northern border of Estonia at the same time as these planes were leaving Kaliningrad. So this is an area that I'm very concerned about. I have a feeling that Russia will take advantage of the situation in the Middle East. And once Hezbollah starts attacking Israel and the U.S. gets involved, that would be a perfect time for Russia to attack the Baltics, possibly Poland. They have a lot of troops in Kaliningrad. They have a lot of troops in Belarus, right on the border of Poland and Lithuania. They could easily attack Poland from 2 sides. They could go from Kaliningrad south to Warsaw, and then they can go west from Belarus. So very, very concerning, guys, okay? So that's the latest information that I have. I wanted to update you on what the leader of Hezbollah said. I will be doing more updates today, probably another one in the evening, maybe another one later on tonight. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the little bell icon below this video so you get notified when I post these updates. And for whatever reason, if you don't get notified, because sometimes YouTube doesn't send out notifications for whatever reason, just periodically check my channel, once a day to see if you missed any updates, because people have been complaining that they're not getting notified sometimes. So just check my channel, one time a day at the end of the day, and you'll be able to see all the updates I posted during that day. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.